there's a story behind this. I applied for a job in 1989 for Wakefield City Council as a gardener. I was a young lad at the time. I went down to the depot on Smallthorne Lane, which the depot's not there now, it's 2 bungalows. I went into the office and says, "Hi, I'm reporting, I'm Andrew O'Connell, apprentice gardener." So this gentleman said to me, says, "I'm sorry, there's no job here for a gardener. There's a job here for a gravedigger." I says, "Right, I'll have the job still." And I started as trainee gravedigger from 1989.
Grave digging. Some people like to be buried. Others like to be cremated. But what options will be available to us as cemetery spaces start to reach full capacity? We dive into peculiar practices, controversial send-offs, and talk to people with first-hand experience dealing with the dead. How would you want to dispose of your body?
I started at Wakefield Council as a gravedigger in 1989. I did that service up until 1995. I rejoined the cemeteries department at Leeds City Council in 2020, in around about year.
So you were a gravedigger during COVID, essentially?
I was, yes. We was on 24-hour standby in case anything came in.
Since the COVID pandemic, Andy has since changed career paths, but still works within the cemetery grounds as an operative.
A cemetery operative maintain the cemetery, i.e. cut the grass, cut bushes, cut trees and just maintain the cemetery grounds. The gravedigger's job is to dig graves and dig cremated remains.
Andy is 56 and has been working in and out of cemeteries for 3 decades. He's been on a mission to find the oldest grave in Pontefract Cemetery and believes he may have found it. He takes me with him for a tour. Because you did mention about the Victorian trolleys as well.
Yeah, that's in the bottom shed. I'm just trying to imagine, see, that's the chapel. Now that looks to me like it'd be over there somewhere.
Right.
And that's...
Well, have we to start looking for that first one?
We'll look at the first one first, and then we'll try and find that one.
Okie dokie.
We'll and try and find out how that image states.
Yeah.
Pontefract, that opened in 1859, I think it was. There's still people being buried to this day. Like I said, the last burials in 2025.
As Andy takes me around the burial site, he tells me about one of the most persistent issues his field faces, and that is a lack of land for human burial.
Cemeteries are filling up quite rapidly due to land space. Land space is very scarce. I mean, they said there's no land available, but there's land available for housing estates to be built on. We're coming short of grave spaces here. Cemeteries are filling up. Potentially, there is land being sourced just outside Pontefract at the barracks on a football field. It has been test dug, and rumour has it they can only dig as far down as 6'6", which is for 2 coffins. Now, most families, they want to have like a family plot of 3. Due to the ground conditions, when they've dug down further than 6'6", it's all rubble. Somewhere down the line, it has been spoken that it was an old waste tip where they dumped old bricks. Potentially, it's only fit for 2 coffin depth. Like I said before, a lot of people want it as a family plot, which is understanding. But up to now, without further testing, it's been drawn a blank. They are sourcing other sites around the Wakefield district, but a lot of people want to be buried within the Pontefract boundary.
Andy takes me into an old chapel, now closed off to the public. He discusses what criteria needs to be met for new burial land.
For a new burial grounds, I think we're going to be looking for 4 things. We're wanting depth, looking for water table, bedrock, and more important, flooding areas. This means that we'll be looking for 1 metre of soil to cover the coffin between the coffin and the outside world. Herefrom, we would also need the grave to be at least 1 metre above the water table. This also comes back to flooding. You don't want an area that can be affected by groundwater flooding. Bedrock is the ground itself. We don't want it to be unweathered as once the soil is moved, it doesn't settle the way it should do ordinary.
Tombs and gravestones that you see are Victorian, and because of that reason, they can't be touched.
I think a lot of people are going to turn to cremations. A lot of people want the traditional burial, but a lot of people, like I say, they're looking on cost. They may be thinking the space a cremation is going to take up, I ain't taking as much land up for the next person coming along, or may take a bigger space to what I'm taking up.
In the UK, burial rates are dropping in favour of cremation.
All you see on the television today is cremations.
In 1960, cremation to burial rates were less than 35%, whereas in 2015 they had risen dramatically to just over 75%.
Like I say, there is land everywhere, but it's where it's going to be suitable for people. The interment means it's the posh word for a person being buried. After the last burial, as you say, they can do whatever they want with that land. 9 times out of 10, the cemeteries that they'll be looking at, they wouldn't be able to do it because they're Victorian cemeteries.
If cemetery workers like Andy are worried about space, what other alternatives are out there?
Hi, my name is Jennifer and I currently work in a funeral directors.
Jennifer has been a mortician for 2 decades and has seen a variety of burial methods rise in popularity. Among them is water burials.
Anybody can be buried at sea. Mostly it's people with sort of a naval seafaring background. A marine licence has to be obtained, in English waters especially. There's 3 places at sea off the UK waters. One is the Needles, another one is Tynemouth, and the other is between Hastings and New Haven. The coffin for a water burial has to be different because obviously it's not just being put in the ground, so certain provisions have to be made. Usually they're made of a soft wood. They have to have numerous holes so that the water can gain access into the coffin, and that's the part that makes it sink. There's got to be air, of course, in there because that helps the decomposition progress underwater. So it is totally different from a normal burial. Also, environmentally, it's got to comply with certain regulations because obviously you've got your marine life in there as well. So it's not a straightforward process. The person that's got to be buried, there's certain regulations as to the condition of the body. It cannot have any embalming of any kind because obviously that involves chemicals. It's got to be in clothing that will disintegrate.
We then turn to the controversial rise of aquamation.
Like they say, it is a nickname, boil in the bag, but really what it is a water cremation. The body is dissolved in hot water, so therefore you're using heat, you're using alkaline, which is a chemical that helps to dissolve the body. It sort of copies the process of an actual burial because it helps with the decomposition. Then what you're left with is just the bones, which are then ground into a powder, and they're the remains, similar to cremation ashes, that are given back to the family. It's better for the environment.
Around 245 kilograms of carbon emissions are generated by one traditional cremation. This is the equivalent of charging your smartphone over 29,000 times.
But it is a lot quicker process than actual burials because in the ground you're relying on natural resources.
In a recent survey, 89% of UK adults did not know about aquamation. 29% of this figure said they would have chosen it for their own funeral if the option would have been available.
It sounds a bit impersonal and...
I mean, it's like when they say the term boil in a bag as well. It's quite...
Well, yeah, because
humanity.
I think we're getting to the stage now where as soon as a person dies, it's like they're not treated as a person anymore. They're talked about more as a body, and it's just disposal.
Boil in the bag has become available in the UK, with Co-op Funeral Care becoming the first company in Britain to offer the service as of 2023.
I don't agree with being boiled in water. I think it's a silly idea, but if it's been introduced at UK and people are starting to do it, that's for that family's opinion to go and have it done that way. I spoke to my managers about it. They looked at me, gone out, to be fair. I says, it's here, I've read it. Boil in the bag, as they call it. How do you explain to your family that they've boiled the cousin in a bag? We all know what cremations are. We know the procedure of a cremation.
How would you want to be disposed of?
Cremation. If my wife chooses for me to be buried, I'll be buried. My last wish will be, my last wish. How she conducts my burial, I will never know.
As time passes on, it will be safe to say that we will be having vastly different funeral services, with water burials becoming more common. Without proper care, etiquette, or consideration for traditional burials, land will not be as available as it once was. And who knows what the next disposal method will be.
See you later.